Hey everybody, welcome to Cheap Popcast Live, the unprofessional live show about professional wrestling. I am your host for Cheap Popcast Live, Dave, not going to Money in the Bank Rudden. I've got one person on camera with me.
Henry, Money in the Bank superstar Gilbert.
And on the Wheels of Steel, we got
Brett also going to Money in the Bank.
Jesus Brett, thanks. He's manning the Wheels of Steel, putting the logos up and all that. We've got the biggest matches of the week playing in the background while we talk about what's going on. We start with Raw just by tradition, but it was again Monday Night Raw bumping up against the NBA Finals and WWE not wanting to try
That's
at
your
all.
shirt, Dave.
It is, but yeah, it was just they've been doing all month, just pitting the people in the Money in the Bank match against each other, which I usually can tolerate because I kind of like how
it's been a whole month of it.
I kind of like how it sort of sets a tier list, and this guy is gonna win, and this guy touched the briefcase once during the month, so he's not gonna win. But it just got to a boiling point this week where I'm like, I just kind of got over it. Like the fact that they had a Cesaro versus Sami Zayn match, and I wasn't super into it.
No, yeah, I know what you mean. Because it was good. It was a real good match, though it also ended with like a Sami Zayn transitional move.
Yeah.
Instead of like a big ending. So it just felt like why all the things, they don't add up entirely, all the matches they've had, just because they've had so freaking many. That just makes you go like, well, who cares at this point? They've wrestled each other so many times.
And like every single one that we've seen on TV at least has been like way better. Like we did the only match that we've done two commentaries on is Sami Zayn versus Cesaro. Like the 2 out of 3 Falls match and their NXT Takeover match. They're both fantastic matches.
Sure.
And this one just didn't live up to the same level.
Yeah, even though it's fine. Aaron Shadow saying Super Dragon. Hi there, Michael Plaskett and Paul and Caleb. I think it just turns into them fighting each other so many times you get just sick of it. And I think that's also a problem with Raw's general setup has been, I'd say for years now, has been instead of getting to what the matches will be on a pay-per-view, they have to have it pretty much the entire next pay-per-view set up the Monday after the last pay-per-view. And that's just crazy to me that they the Monday after the last pay-per-view, we have to set up who everybody is in Money in the Bank. We have to set up exactly what the main event's going to be. Like that's why it was at least a nice surprise of Cena and AJ Styles getting set up a little later.
Yeah.
And so with all 6 guys just locked in as the guys within the first week, then they just pretty much just have to bounce off each other for 6 weeks straight.
Yeah, I mean, I think the things I enjoyed most on Raw were the things that are setting up the other feuds, which needed it a little bit more. Like, even though it's Seth Rollins' first match back and John Cena's first match back, having the segment with there was a contract signing with AJ Styles, and John Cena for the last 3 years, you will have heard in the first segment. I was talking about how over the last few years he's been like the gatekeeper, the guy who faces the new guy and usually beats the guy in a feud and kind of takes away some of his star power. But at least with this one with AJ Styles, he was like, well, you know what? You'll probably beat me if you come out with your friends because I can't beat all 3 of you. So here's 2 contracts. This one is me against all 3 of you, and this one is just me against you, and your friends can't come to the ringside. So we just added a little bit more layer to that. And
though Brandon Stroud had a great joke about how John Cena would have been shocked if AJ had asked for, no, you get 2 guys on your side, and then 2 more guys, and John Cena going like, oh no, the odds are on my side.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, this is the thing. David Shoemaker, the writer, formerly Grantland, now for The Ringer about wrestling, said that John Cena makes the guys you like matter.
Yeah.
Like that's his thing. That by facing your guys, he makes them more important.
Yeah.
Brett has to walk away for a second here, but anyway, yeah, he makes those guys matter. I think he can do that for AJ as well. I am curious though, when I was thinking of like predictions for Money in the Bank, like what happens for all the contestants, all the combatants in it, other than the guy who wins, because like is Cesaro just going to go into a feud with Baron Corbin after this, or Apollo, or like what's Sammy going to do? What's going to happen with all these guys who won't be in the main event after this?
I mean, even though all of the matches got a bit much over the last few weeks, I do like how, like, this Money in the Bank more than the last few. Like, I feel like everybody except for Cesaro could possibly win. Like, everyone has a reason. Like,
just can't be Cesaro.
Jericho has like the never won before. Sami Zayn's got the you're too nice to use this. Kevin Owens can just be a jerk with the briefcase. I mean, like Dean Ambrose, like they even had a segment where he did the Ambrose Asylum interview with Seth Rollins and Roman Reigns and said, like, I know, well, I'm interviewing you two right now, but I could very well, after your match, beat whoever won and take the title from them. So it's like just like little wrinkles here and there, and I think that's kind of what I want to see the most, because that would lead to a triple threat at SummerSlam.
No, I mean, that is what really interests me. Like, for a while I thought it was going to be Kevin Owens. I thought Kevin Owens was going to be it, but now they got me with that Ambrose Asylum segment, which is, I think it is, Dean wins it, and if Dean wins it and cashes in that night and wins the title, it could be an historic night, because he would beat it, he would win the title, but if he won it off Rollins, like they could say we were all the world champion in the same night. Every member of the Shield was the world champion the same night. That would be pretty amazing. I
also totally forgot that Alberto Del Rio was in that match.
Yeah.
But
because he has literally no chance.
And literally the only time, like the only real interesting match on Raw where I thought I wasn't sure what was going to happen or kind of cared. Like, strangely, I didn't really care who won between Sami Zayn and Cesaro, because it doesn't really change much for Money in the Bank. But there was a tag match. It was the Lucha Dragons against Kevin Owens and Del Rio, because they were bickering at each other the whole night, and it was the stipulation was if Del Rio and Owens lose, then they are out of the match and the Lucha Dragons are in the match. And I thought that was like, I could potentially see that, like, the very, very small percentage of that happening, just because, like, who cares about Del Rio? Like, he has no momentum going into this match, and
absolutely none. He's a nobody.
He's only from like the 5 years ago perspective when one wins again. And they really want CM Punk to not be the only two-time winner.
So Aaron Chato says, I want Dean to do something more than just a gimmick. I would like him to not just be the doofus, Dean Ambrose. And meanwhile, Aaron Chatos was saying that half these guys are going to be on SmackDown, the other half on Raw, so it gives them a restart then. I mean, that is really hanging over the balance here. That also makes you think, like, nothing could happen in the main event, or something so weird could happen in the main event that would give them a storyline reason to split the title before SmackDown begins, All
right, so before we move on to NXT, let's fish a few more comments out of there.
We got Nicholas Francesca saying, I don't know. There are rumors about Alberto being promised a push as part of coming back. That makes me think he might win. I mean, Nicholas, there's promising somebody a push, and then there's giving him the world championship, or even getting him in the world championship. Like, I think he'll probably get a push soon, and not just his relationship with Paige. Like, how upset can he be now that he's with Paige anyway? But. Also, Kevin Owens would be the more fun answer, says Caleb. It would be more fun, and I do hope he wins. But my gut is telling me now that it's going to be good old Dean Ambrose, because it's setting it up so hard here.
Yeah, Dan Diaz pointing out, do we see the same matches over and over because WWE refuses to push anyone else? Like, they have a big roster. I think, hopefully, next month when they do this roster split, they will infuse more NXT people into, like, both shows.
Yeah.
So, there is that, and, like, hopefully they'll be able to have fresher matches as a result. But, that also could go the other way, where it's like, well, you only have two shows and they never really cross over, so are you going to have repeat matches all the time there?
Daniel Diaz says, WWE has a bigger roster, doesn't it? Do we?
Oh, yeah.
That's the one you read. Sorry. Leonardo says, Del Rio winning would be like Sheamus winning last year, a waste of a Money in the Bank. Yeah, I'd like a relative newcomer to get it. But why don't we get into the other show now?
Yeah, so NXT. Well, speaking of rematches and thin rosters, they had a rematch between Perfect 10, Ty Dillinger, and it's gonna be a while before I get his name correct. Adrian Cien Almas.
Yeah, Cien. I just call him Cien, but yeah.
I mean, they had a better match than at Takeover.
It was a better match than Takeover, which they needed. But I think this is something people were talking about, that Ty Dillinger cannot be C.J. Parker. He can't be. He can't be Bull Buchanan. Not Bull Buchanan. But he can't be him either. He can't be the new jobber guy because people like his 10 thing too much.
Yeah.
Like they don't want him to lose to even the excitable good new guy. You know. And that was I felt like the audience still wasn't, even though they had a better match, I felt the audience still wasn't into it. And I had forgotten last week that Cien had been La Sombra in New Japan and CMLL, but he was a luchador that came to the ring in a mask and a suit, and now he's a guy without a mask and who kind of dressed like a Chippendale dancer or something. It's let's see. Yeah. Oh, Aaron Shadow's just saying nothing's happened at TNA.
The other match, like, they had some good tag matches. The TM61. They beat Buddy.
I like that
Murphy
a lot.
Blake and Murphy.
Blake and Murphy in there. What seems to be their final match together. In which they kind of had to walk. They had to walk that back too. They're like, wait, you guys just broke up.
Yeah.
And then he says, well, but now we're gonna try it again. Like, just so they can give TMDK, TM61 a new person to face, which was very strange. Like, to get like that. Well, it was weird to see two debuting tag teams on the show. Yeah. And both got wins, but one got win with like literally zero offense against
TM61
them.
They did face I forget who. They
lost to Tommaso Ciampa and the other guy.
That was a faceless tag team that lost to the other faceless tag team that I always mix up with each other. Yeah, but then there was also the Authors of Destruction.
Authors of Pain.
Authors of Pain. The two, like, they're basically like super big Shield guys. Like, that's the way it seems like that's the way they dress, and kind of have that same like bum rushing the ring and not talking a whole lot.
Yeah, and I like that. And they're like beefier Shield guys too, based on their outfits. Daniel Diaz says Cien is super talented. He was fun to watch. He was fun to watch, but it was just like, I don't know. He's missing that little thing that
he's got that smiley face thing Apollo Crews had.
Yeah, it's that. But I felt Cruz at least had like a more creative offense. Like, that's the other than his knees thing. I'm like, well, okay, what functionally in your moves? What makes you different from Kalisto? Like, what makes you different from the usual WWE lucha style guy?
I mean, it's kind of like a mini epidemic in NXT where like both of those tag teams, it's like those guys are great wrestlers, but they're not quite at that, like, they're not at the American Alpha level of like, physicality, and they're definitely not at like the like Enzo and Cass like charisma level. So they just kind of are there, and like that's what I'm worried about with like Cien Almas. Like he has great moves, but he's not like a Shinsuke Nakamura type, not a Finn Balor type, so not a Samoa Joe type. So he's just like right now. I mean, granted, this is his second match, and literally like probably by the taping schedule, his second day doing matches. So like it's way too early to say like this guy's a flop. But it is strange that like he's had two big matches and neither of them have been like
with an audience that's ready to give him everything, and they're like, yeah, you're okay. Like it seems to be the way most people are saying. Leonardo Pondock says, does it feel like from out of nowhere NXT Tag Division went from being gutted by the main roster to being robust again? Like, absolutely it does. And I think the show also showed how big they got with tag matches that what's the word I'm looking for? That the tag matches like got they can fill the show more. Like, this show had more tag matches than singles matches. You know? And
although like I keep harping on it, but like I'm worried what NXT tag teams will be like without American Alpha around, because it's all these like good tag teams that are not. They just remind you like, oh, there's better tag teams before.
Yeah, well, and with the Revival, if the Revival are the champs, like, but what are the Authors of Pain going to do? Like, face the Revival? Like, that's a heel thing, which doesn't really work that well.
I do like how they didn't say anything. Like, they already look really different and cool. and like having Paul Ellering there, that like they didn't say anything. They didn't even do like a backstage interview kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like for one thing, I was thinking like, man, Paul Ellering has got it made right now. He doesn't even have to say anything. He just shows up and stares and leaves.
You hired me to be the talker for these guys, and then I don't even got to talk.
Yeah, but yeah, like it's a slow burn with them, and I mean they're different. It's kind of like they're the Nia Jax of the tag teams, where it's like you just look different, and if like you can put it together in the ring, it's going to be amazing.
But the one thing we're not talking about from this is the final segment.
Oh yeah,
which set up another dream match, which it feels like it's definitely NXT saying we got to do this before one of these guys or both of these guys are gone. And it was Finn Balor pretty much being like metatextual of saying, well, I had this long career and I did all this great stuff and I lost. Yeah. What's next for me? And then he teases, as he loves to do, he teases the Balor Club, Bullet Club, the Club, whatever. Teases that again. Even literally says too sweet on the microphone and gives the 2 sweet fingers to the audience. And then, boom, out comes Shinsuke Nakamura. Yeah. And I loved his face. Like, his facials were so great in that.
Yeah, I saw like I saw a tweet that basically, like, it was exactly what I was thinking, where it's, oh, you're talking about Shinsuke. But I like,
Shinsuke.
There's a tweet like, look, I want somebody who looks at me the way everyone looks at all of Shinsuke Nakamura's opponents look at him. But it's like both Finn and Sami Zayn, I had that feeling like in both cases when Shinsuke's music hit, they just became completely dejected. Like, I'm not the most popular person in the ring for the first time ever.
Yeah.
In WWE, it's like a little bit of a shock to the system. Like,
I know.
Like, wait, you're not cheering for me right now?
I think nobody in NXT is going to be hotter than Shinsuke Nakamura. I don't know who they could bring in who could have that much cred, that much outside popularity and be that popular. Though also, the problem with it that I had, when he talked, I was like, this is great. I'm fine with this talking. But I just imagined Vince McMahon in my head and him saying, like, he's slurring his words. He's got this weird lisp. He doesn't sound tough to me, this guy. I'm not into him. This guy's no good guy.
All right, well, before we move on to...
But I'm very excited for their match. Like, and I think we'll see it sooner than later. I think we will see it at... the Japan show. Wow. I think they'll do a Japan live event, and Finn will be called up sooner than that. I don't think it'll be the Brooklyn event.
It seems like that would be a perfect main event for Brooklyn.
I mean, it would be a great co-main event for Brooklyn with whoever is defending the championship with Samoa Joe, but I don't think it's the... Yeah, I don't think it's the match. I don't think it's the final match because it wouldn't be the title. Like, Joe would be in the title match.
Yeah, I guess like Joe needs a big opponent for Takeover.
And I thought it was going to be Shinsuke. That's why I feel like they'll do it in Japan and then Shinsuke and him at Brooklyn. Otherwise, like, who else would it be? Austin Aries maybe, but like they don't have main event guys anymore. I mean, could be Bobby Roode. Yeah. And then it just becomes TNA in its entirety.
Yeah, this is also the time when the NXT roster will presumably have been gutted for SmackDown. So, like, I'm kind of interested in what is going to happen. Like, I guess the next few weeks are supposed to... I guess the next few weeks of NXT that are airing are all pre-SmackDown draft.
Yeah. Leonardo Pondock says, NXT Women's Division needs major rebuilding. Probably won't get to the heights of last year for a long time. I mean... It really can't. That class of 4 ladies was like impossible. I don't think they'd ever. It's a once in a lifetime thing. It's why it's worth celebrating. Let's see here.
Dan Diaz and Connor Wade are talking about Sasha Banks and what's going on with her. She
whole lot of nothing.
I get a little bit of pleasure out of talking to Henry about what's going on with Sasha Banks. So she returned last week on main event and then is on Superstars this week. So she went from the C show to the C- show. But I think Connor Wade has the right idea. Like, kind of exactly how they did nothing with her until WrestleMania. I think they're doing nothing with her until SummerSlam because they just need to, like, churn through Charlotte's opponents, and then once SummerSlam hits, boom,
I have to hope so. And, I mean, Sasha is one of the 3, like, announced stars for WWE 2K17. That was her big reveal. She was part of the big reveal at E3. So I got to think, if she's part of the marketing for that, she's not going to be nothing. And I'm really hoping that means they'll do a complete redesign on the 2K games for women's wrestling just to get the 4 horsewomen in the game. But anyway.
Yeah, so Lucha Underground, I've been a little bit iffy about the show in recent weeks, but they did something that, like, almost every single time I really like, which is have only one match that goes the entire show.
Yeah, hour-long matches. I mean,
this was a 6-way match, which the winner gets and it's like a big match because the winner is in the main event, ostensibly, of Ultima
Lucha Dos.
Yeah, they
they're
faced Matanza
WrestleMania.
for the title. It was Johnny Mundo, Pentagon Jr., Taya, Ivelisse. I always forget one. Phoenix and King Cuerno.
Yeah, King Cuerno, who, and they also set up, like, Mill and King Cuerno for Ultima Lucha as well. And I love seeing, like, poor Phoenix, though. He still can't make it happen.
Yeah.
Even have to face his brother, Pentagon, and then Johnny Mundo being the Superman gringo that he is.
I think, if anything, like, I put these two in the match because they were my favorites in the match and they're the coolest looking in the match, but, like, yeah, Johnny Mundo is still, like, I thought he would have, like, a main event here or there, but, like, I don't know quite what he's going to be up to for Ultima Lucha. Like, they didn't really set his one in stone. I guess he could fight Phoenix because he got eliminated by Phoenix near the end.
Those two would have a great match. I mean, for as little money as they have compared to even, NXT, they have an amazing roster. They really do, of guys who could just face whoever, and they can just mix and match it and have great matches. And it's part of that is their talent exchange with AAA, but also part of that is just the smart hires they made of guys who can get it done in the ring, who can also be good actors in pretty much cut scenes within Lucha Underground, as opposed to guys on a microphone.
Yeah, I mean, there's also, like, maybe it's because, like, it's just scrambled my brain with, like, how Mill and Pentagon have kind of, like, weaved in and out of Lucha Underground this season. Like, is King Cuerno really, like, the best opponent for Mil Muertes? Like, I kind of thought
it's been set up since the start of the year.
Yeah, I kind of thought the way that would be the end of the season. Would be Mill and Matanza in a title match. But I don't know, like. I also don't even know how many weeks it is until Ultima Lucha. Like,
but the story
kind of
the year has been, setting up Pentagon.
Yeah.
Pentagon's, like, rise as a world championship contender, to then his fall from grace, getting broken by Matanza, and now he's coming back. But I also don't think he's going to beat Matanza either. Like, I think the spoilers are out there if you want to know them. I don't know it, but.
That's why I don't even know how many episodes are left. Yeah. Like, I don't want to even look something up as small as that because I could find out something in the process that would just, like, piss me off to no end.
Stacy Pro wonders where Chris Antista is. He's still on vacation, guys. He'll be back next Monday, I believe. We will see him on our live stream. But still schlumming through Lucha Underground Season 1, says Leonardo Pondock. Who in the world decided it should be 39 episodes long? That's great.
Though,
it's a year. That's 14 fewer episodes than WWE did the year before,
and many fewer hours. And but like, I don't know. For some reason, like, Season 1 felt more natural than 2, because 2 is just like, these people off the show for a couple episodes here and there, and it just feels weird. Even though, like, did this person really even take any time off, or was it literally they, like, were in the first match of one day and then the last match of the next day's tapings? It's just like, I know you have, like, only an hour and you have a lot of people that you can put in that hour, but, like, just the way people have been written off and brought back, it's just been a little bit less. Like,
I didn't like how quick they cashed it. Like, they cashed in the belt so quickly. When that belt is their, like, that's their IC championship. It should be defended on the show, but Cage just cashed it in, like, immediately.
Yeah, and that is another thing. Like, is that on the? Like, that has to be part of Ultima Lucha.
Yeah, they got to do another one of those.
Yeah, but that means like another week or two of people getting all 7 medallions. It's like, it's just, it's been getting a little bit repetitive, and also, like, kind of weird and scattershot with, like, your favorite guys gone for weeks at a time. So
Zorak Iverson wants to know where they can find the early episodes of first season Lucha Underground, and
the best legal way is iTunes. Like, you can buy the season pass, or you can you can get them other ways. And I always say, if you get them other ways, you could always just, like, buy a T-shirt of Lucha Underground or something to make up the difference. I'm not saying which one I do, but I do try to.
Yeah, Pentagon is Like, I love him. I think he should be the Stone Cold of the promotion, and he's so close to it. And a win against Matanza might do it, but I just love his style. He's so weird and crazy, and he's also a dude who's like, well, he doesn't speak English, so I don't think he'll be hired by WWE, but anytime soon. Though, honestly, if NXT is looking to build back up the ranks, they can hire like half the people on the show. And as long as we're talking about secondary wrestling as well, internationally, I believe this is a thick weekend of wrestling because the Dominion show at Osaka Hall is happening for New Japan. We'll have some really big matches on it, including a very, very rare New Japan ladder match between Kenny Omega and Michael Elgin. And then also Okada in his rematch against Tetsuya Naito to get back his championship from the super villainous Naito. And
so is your entire time in Vegas just going to be watching Money in the Bank and then going to your hotel to watch Dominion?
Well, no, I think I'll watch Dominion on the flight if I can get some Wi-Fi, because it happens Saturday night, and so I believe it.
I was on the fence about it, and I know this is like a New Japan purist thing to to hate that I'm not watching because of this, but the fact that it's all in Japanese, I thought like every pay-per-view now is in English, but it's
no. I think they'll bring them back for the
G1 Climax.
For the G1 Climax, they'll have some English. Well, the G1 Climax though is a lot of like house shows too. Yeah. Well, like filmed house shows. When I say filmed, I mean one camera on the ring and silence. Like there's not even Japanese commentary.
Damn.
I mean, they don't got. It's a smaller company than WWE. Leonardo's asking, what do we think of the Cruiserweight Classic competitors? I'm loving Kota Ibushi's in it.
Yeah.
That's my favorite. I think Zack Sabre Jr. is in it as well. We just had a match with Kurt Angle.
Damn. Yeah, I had a quick look at the list, and I like that there's also a lot of old WWE guys in there, like Tajiri's in there.
I love
Billy.
Tajiri.
No, why am I blanking on his name? Kendrick.
Oh,
Brian
Brian Kendrick, Dave.
Yeah.
It's the Brian Kendrick, who we've seen live and very close in a opera house.
Yeah. All right, so that'll do it for this episode of Cheap Popcast Live. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll be back next week with more wrestling chatter. See ya.
Too sweet.